Shooting three-pointers, Patrick Beverley fought through a screen, then undercut CP-3's legs. The play was reviewed, and Pat Bev was given a flagrant 1 for the play. Bev wasn't as convinced since he mocked Paul for flopping right after the play happened. So, Shannon, was this a foul, a flagrant foul, or just a flop?
Skip, I get that CP-3 was trying to draw a foul. He was trying to jump into Pat Bev's body, and Pat Bev undercut him. He really could have hurt Chris Paul, because Chris Paul could have hit his head on the floor. And then you get up and mock him.
He hit his butt pretty hard.
Yeah. But you get up and mock him like, oh, bro, you ain't doing. I didn't even foul you. I don't get Pat Bev. I really don't, Skip. In a situation like this, you think that's funny. He think it's funny. I mean, look how hard Chris Paul hit the floor.
Did he?
Chris Paul didn't flop.
It's not called the hardwood for nothing, right?
And then he's doing that. Skip, I really don't get this. Is really what irks me about him, Skip. Because he does something dumb, and then he mocks the player because of his foolishness and his dumbness. Now, he talk about somebody flopping. Who's a bigger flopper than Pat Bev? Jim, cue that tape. Because Pat Bev's like Chris Paul. Look at this. Really? Really?
Well, he got hit in the face.
No, man, look at this, Skip.
He hit him right in the face.
Skip, look at this. Skip, for real, Skip. For real, Skip. You feel comfortable with that? Well, how about this, y'all?
That was a push-off.
Look at this, Skip.
Oh, he got elbowed right in the chest.
Man, it's...
Well, that's a foul. It's an offensive foul. I think you picked 3 bad examples.
I got one for you. Since they instituted the flop rule, only 2 players have been fined for flopping in the last 4 seasons. I give you one guess who one of the players are. I give you one guess. Anybody. Who's one of the 2 players? Patrick Beverley and Marcus Smart. In the last 4 seasons, 2 players. 2
of the toughest defenders there are in this league.
So why is he, if he's one of the 2 players, since the rule has been instituted in the last 4 seasons for flopping, why is he complaining about flopping when he's one of the biggest floppers? But Skip, I don't think in a situation like this, I get it sometimes, guys flop. But in a situation where a guy could have been injured, I don't think that's the time. There's a time and a place, you've heard the saying, there's a time and a place for everything. I don't believe this was the time or the place for Pat Bev to try to be cute and funny and mock a player that he could have injured. That's my only thing, Skip. But it was a foul, and rightfully so.
So, you can look at my timeline. I immediately tweeted, I don't even think that was a foul, because it was definitely a flop. But the more I look at it right now, I wouldn't even call it a foul on it.
Really?
Who is the greatest at fighting over picks I've ever seen in the history of this league? Michael Jordan. He fought over picks with physicality. He punished the picker. He would fight across his body and through, because he didn't give up. He didn't say, I'm going to back off, and like too many times the Clippers just walk around the screen. It doesn't work. You have to fight over the top of the screen.
How many times did Michael Jordan fighting over the screen, the guy that was shooting the shot, hit his backside on the floor?
Okay, that's Chris Paul's fault, because he did flop. He jumped forward. I don't think Pat Bev, if you look at this one more time...
He clipped his legs.
Patrick Beverley's just moving straight sideways. He's just trying to beat him to the spot. He's not trying to foul him. He's just trying to get through the pick. That's all. Chris leaps forward with his legs and kicks out.
No, Skip, he was trying to jump into it.
Okay, well, he's drawing the contact.
Yes.
The contact is initiated by one CP-3.
You can do that, Skip.
And he loses his balance and falls backwards, and nearly, if he didn't hurt himself, I think he's sore when he gets up this morning.
The NBA is trying to do something about these non-basketball moves, Skip. And I believe this would have been something we're going to probably have a discussion about next year. But
with Chris.
Yeah, they're going to do it. No, we're all players.
Yeah, but that was a
Trae Young, James Harden.
Okay, well, that was a non-basketball play, because if he just dribbles to his left, they're going to hit into each other, but not hard enough to call it a foul.
You know, you guys coming over, he's fighting over the screen. So now I know you're fighting over the screen. I'm going to try to draw the foul. So in the process, yes, but what Pat Bev does, he beats the screen, but I don't believe he meant to do it. I'm not saying Patrick Beverley meant to do this, but he gets past, and in the process of Chris Paul trying to jump into him, Pat Beverley's already past him, and he takes his legs out from under him. That's all I'm saying.
I think Chris takes his own legs out from under him.
I don't know. Maybe this TV was like the ones I got in my house, because I'm not seeing the same thing you see.
Yeah,
you don't see Pat Bev clip this man.
No, he kicks his feet, his legs forward, Chris does, and loses his balance. That was a flagrant flop. That's what it should have been called, a flagrant foul on the flop.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
No, I'm not. I could just see it. Again, Patrick's a shrewd operator, but he's just playing defense as hard as he can play it.
They called a foul on Book. You remember when Patrick Beverley, they went and reviewed it? They called a flagrant foul when Book hit the man in the shoulder and Pat Bev grabbed his mouth. Come on, Skip, you talking about flopping.
Okay, he is the shrewdest operator.
No, he'll flopper.
Okay, he'll flop occasionally, but that's a blatant flop by Chris Paul.
That wasn't no flop, Skip. The man clipped the leg,
And I do not blame Patrick Beverley at all for jumping right up at Phoenix in their house and mocking the flop.
You know what he did? You know what you noticed? Where were they at, Skip? They were ahead. He didn't do none of that Saturday. He didn't do none of that. Why he didn't do that Saturday, Skip?
Because he was sending a message to both teams. We got this.
Because we front running.
We got this.
If you notice, Pat Bev does all this keying, all this mockery when they're in the lead. He does none of this when they're behind. So in other words, he's showing there's a method to his madness. No, he front run. That's what he does.
Well, he establishes the front to run with, because he is setting a defensive tone in this series that is off the charts.
I'm not here to argue or debate that. He's been sensational. But don't pretend like, but when Luka was giving him that business, he ain't doing none of that. So why when Luka was doing this or saying he too small, why did he do that? Why did he say this? Why did he do that to Luka?
Okay, well, you got 6'1" versus 6'8". I don't know.
Because, see, if he thinks he has the upper hand, just like Dame, when Dame was on the whistle the free throws, he keying. But when Dame was sending them home, he wasn't keying when he was in Houston. Remember he was in Houston?
He was.
He was on that Houston team.
He was.
When Dame hit that shot. I ain't hear him do that. I ain't see him do that then. Front runners, Skip. I don't like them front runners. Nah, these be true.
Pat Bev versus CP3 is a fair fight because they're about the same size. I think Pat's maybe 6'1" and Chris is maybe 6 feet. So at least we have a level playing field.
And you saw Pat Bev was like, man, I ain't mean to do that. Chris Paul was like, yeah, basically get out of my face.
He went back to him just to agitate him some more.
No,
he's trying to play nice, and Chris knew.
Exactly. Chris Paul said, nah, I ain't up for your bull jive, man. I know you full of caca.
That is correct. He is, and it still gets to Chris.
That's all. No, they don't get to Chris. But that's all right. Cliff gonna show up. Watch Cliff show up on.
Well, I think Cliff has been showing up every game.
No.
I think that hasn't been Cliff. Chris, that's been Cliff.
Yeah, man.
The last 2 games, Chris Paul from 3 is now 0 for 9 in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
or maybe that's Cliff Paul. Man, I don't know.
He do a breakout game, Skip. He can't play, because really, if you think about it, Chris Paul really hadn't played well in this series.
In fact,
missed the first 2 games.
He's been just like that State Farm commercial where he just disappears, just turns into a basketball.
Skip, he do for a game. Yeah. He and Book need to put one of these games together.
Okay.
But they better get DA the ball tomorrow night.
Boy, you got a lot of ifs and buts.
Nah, they need to get that ball. They need to get the ball to DA. 9 touches is not enough.
They need to do this and they need to do that.
They're gonna do it,
and they ain't doing any of it.
Okay. Now you front running. Now you front running.
No, I'm just believing.
Okay.
That one team's a little better than the other, and a big reason for that is Patrick Beverley.
I promise you won't be the same man Thursday you are today. You're gonna be a different guy, Skip.
We'll see about that, won't we? You've been saying that now for how long? The Clippers been playing for like 2 months. It feels like I'm worn out from it.
It does.
But every time you think they're done, they ain't done. You're done.
Okay. No, I'm not done.
Yeah.
I'm not done.
Well, you said yesterday it was over.
I got all the faith in the world in mine in his butt.
Do you?
Yeah.